So this problem is usually caused by somebody prying something off the board when they've been disconnecting the battery. So what you'll see on these is if I show you on the phone here, a lot of people go in from this side on the connector, so they just clip the battery up from there, they'll go clink, the battery will come up, and right here there's a couple of components that people they pull them off the board. I'll show you on the microscope view, you'll be able to see quite clearly. I did have it lined up a minute ago. There it is. So that's the component that's most frequently pulled off the board. Let me just get my scalpel and you'll be able to see when I point to it. So that's the one that's been pulled off in this instance. It's actually a MOSFET, and it's what's called gas gauge. So it controls the battery percentage. So that there is what we're going to be replacing today. I'm going to have to replace it with a jumper. So basically, I will clean this up. I will run a jumper from here, and then I'll run it over to there, and then we'll replace it with a new component. I don't know where the old component is. I think it's lost somewhere when it was chipped off. So what I'm going to do first is I'm just going to get my tweezers now under the microscope, and I'm just going to click off a few components here. Let me zoom out, you might be able to see a little bit better. Sorry, not components, the connectors, I'm going to clip them off. So I'm clipping off the battery, is already clipped off, the charge port, this one here is for the wireless charging. Okay, I'll just take that off. That's off there now. Now before I start this repair, I disconnect all of those. Next step is that I peel off the little sticker over the top, because if I peel it off now, it means that I will be able to reattach this later once I finish doing the repair, and it'll look slightly more original than it would otherwise. If I'd have left them on, they will melt into a horrible gooey mess, and they will never ever go back on the board again. So I'm just going to peel these off here. Hopefully they come off nice and easily. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. There seems to be no rhyme or reason on these. More often than not with these ones, I do find on the 7s and the 8s, they do certainly seem to peel off a lot easier than they used to. I mean, like, I've done countless repairs on iPhone 6S's, and when you're taking the waterproof seal off, you find that you can't put it back on again. But these ones, they come off nicely, and you can put them back on again. So that's all of those taken off now. I take all three because it really doesn't take much to cause them to shrivel up. So I'm just going to zoom in here now, and you're going to see the problem we've got now is that we're missing a pad. So we're missing this big pad here, the one on its own. So if I show you there, you're missing this one. So that there, it should be a 3-pin device that goes in here, a little FET. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to stick some flux on. I'm going to clean up these two pads here. I'm going to run a little jumper across from this pin here to this pin here. We're going to test the other one at the same time. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to put my multimeter into diode mode, and I'm just going to test. I'm going to put red probe onto the ground, and then I'm going to put the black probe onto here, and we should get a reading around about 7.5 on mine, so you can see on the display you're getting it, and on the other one you'll get nothing. It'll just say open circuit, because that's the one that's linked to this MOSFET that's missing. So these are the two battery sense terminals that you've got. They've both got to be there in order for the battery sense to work. So I'm just going to stick a bit of flux here now. A little bit of flux on the board there. And I'm going to get, I've not got the right tip on my iron now. You'll see that from my other videos I have upgraded my soldering station. I've gone with a JBC purely because they are a damn sight better than anything else out there on the market. You don't have to have your temperature anywhere near as hot in order to achieve things. See how easy they just came off then, those two little old parts. Here I'm just going to quickly reflow that terminal there. I'm going to put a little tiny bit of solder now. Do you need a tiny bit more flux actually? There's not enough going over to there. Also, the size of the tips that you get with this thing are phenomenally small. The other ones, they said they were 0.01. They were nowhere near 0.01. Now I've actually seen what. The 0.1 they said they were. They were nowhere near, because now I've actually seen what 0.1 is from JBC's perspective. These are like needle point. These are. Let me just turn it around now. Okay, I'm gonna see if I can move my hot plates over. I'm gonna zoom in a little bit more again now. Okay, so there we go. So you can see now we've got. I'll switch to another view here actually, and you can be able to see it a little bit better. There you go. You can see that even more now, because you really don't need to see me or the picture. You more really need to see what's going on under the microscope. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to get some of this stuff. This is actually an old motor. This is so it's just some very thin wire. You can get these from vibrator motors from the iPhones, from the iPhone vibrator circuit. So what I'm going to do with this now is, you'll see the end of it has already got the coating removed. So I'm just going to remove a little bit more coating on this now. So I'm just going to put a bit more solder on my iron, and I'm just going to use the iron just to pull a little bit more coating off this. I don't really need much of this, so as long as I can uncover enough of it for this repair. Now, the problem with this is I've still not got the Trinocular microscope. That's my next upgrade. Oops. Where are we? There we go. Can see that again now. All I've been doing there, let me just focus a little bit. Yeah, I need to get a trinocular microscope, so that, because at the moment I'm down to viewing through one eye, so I can't see any kind of depth perception at the moment. There we go. So I've pulled a little bit of that coating off. All I'm going to do now is I'm just going to tack the end of that onto there. You can see how easy that is. So that's just been tacked onto the end of there. Okay, and then I'm going to get my scalpel. I'm going to figure out how much of this I need, which is probably around about that much. And I'm just going to slice it off. So I've just sliced it off. A little bit too long is what I always go for on the length of this when I'm cutting it. And then I can always kind of coil it round a bit. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to move it there, right in between. I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to get the end of it. Hopefully just going to be able to hook that round. Just bend it slightly. not much, but you get into a little circle, just a little hook, it just gives a little bit more for the component just to grab onto. There we go. So that's ready there, that's our replacement pad. So what we're going to do now is we're going to get the component. Now I've just ordered a new bag of these, so here's my new bag of components for this. I'd literally just ran out of them, so I've ordered another 100 of them. So what I do now with this is, if I just move this to where the battery is, zoom out, seems a bit strange to do this, but this is how I find it works. Where it says the word limited, just below there, I'm just going to stick a little blob of flux, and now I'm going to get the component down here, because whenever you take these out of here, they've got a tendency of going missing. So if I blob one out and stick it to that flux, there we go, because they are absolutely tiny. So now I'm not going to lose it now, whereas before I had a tendency of losing these things, and I mean they're not expensive, but it's still not nice to have to lose all your components every time you're trying to. So I'm going to zoom in now, turn it over, okay, and you'll notice there's 3 pads under there, 3 little pads. Now what I'm going to do with one of them is I'm going to stick a little bit of solder on my tip. Okay, and I'm going to, the reason I've used flux here as well is I am just going to dab there we go. So you can see I've just put a little blob of solder on there, because there's not much solder on that little hook that I've created. So that's the solder that's going to stick the two together now. So I'm going to move it now down to where my hook is. Zoom out again. There we go. That's my component. Okay. And there it is. Just in the right place now. So I'm just going to zoom in and just make sure that I've blobbed it down where it's supposed to go. Nope. There we go. Whoop. You can see how tiny these things are, because I literally moved that at like a millimetre. There, right. So, done that. Got my heat now, so just going to get my hot air on, and I'm going to use, I've got this on my JBC, I've got it set at 80% airflow at 360 degrees Celsius. I'm going to get the tweezers, hold this in place for a little bit. I'm just going to wait till it reflows. Okay. Don't think I got it then. I've definitely got something then. I've seen it move, so I'm just going to get a little bit more heat, and I've just seen that pop into place now. I don't know whether you've seen that move on the video. Hopefully you did. So I'm just going to use a tiny bit more heat again, and I'm just going to give it a nudge. Yep, that's it. So it bobs back to where it was. Hopefully you've just seen that. Okay, so done that now. Our wire's in place. That's the MOSFET in place. Let's just clean the area up a little bit. Okay. It's looking pretty tidy now, that. Try to use as little heat as possible concentrated. I don't want to damage the board. So that there now is the wire running across between those two pads. What I'll do after this is I'll just stick a little bit of solder mask on that just to stop it from bobbing around anywhere and hold it down in place. So I'm just going to test this again now. If I switch back to the other view, main scene, you'll be able to see me just test this, and you'll see that if I put that on there, we should get, there we go. So I'm just putting that onto the terminal. See that? And we're getting the correct measurement now. So we're getting the same measurement on both of these two terminals now. So we've got that one giving us the correct measurement, and we've got the other one. Just want to check here just to make sure. I'm just going to check between these two, and I'm going to make sure that we're not shorted out on that. So no, we're not, we're fine. Sometimes I've had it where that little piece of wire has just crept underneath and shorted out on the ground. So that's not good, that. So that is the repair. That's the most complex version of the repair, really, when you've got the pad missing. If you've got the other MOSFET missing on the other side, let me just zoom out. There we go. So if you've got the MOSFET, the other MOSFET here missing, it's a little bit more difficult because you've got to get a wire, just run it around from this one here, run it around the side of the connector, right the way round here, and just run it to the end of that MOSFET there. But it's the same process. You're literally just running a little jump around. The wire's longer, so make sure you seal that down properly with underfill. So all I'm going to do now, I'm just going to put these little pads back on again. These little the little waterproofing bits. That's them on there. So that's okay. Put the other one on the other side. Okay, that's that one done. So I'm just replacing these little bits of padding. A lot of people don't bother doing this, but I don't know. I find it nicer if you can put them back on again, great. It just adds to the authenticity of the device. And also it protects from water damage in future. Not that these phones are really protected to any great extent from water damage, but especially after they've been opened. Alright, so let's just clip that down, clip that one down. I'll do this on the camera so you can see. I'm just going to clip these, clip that one down, clip that one back down. That's all the connectors back on again. And then this here, if I put that down there, plug the cable in. I always plug in the front facing camera first like that, and then I'll just go down here with these two. I'll just go click, and then I'll click the battery in now. Okay, no problem. Customer didn't supply any shields with this phone, so that's my part. I'm just going to close that up for now. I will put the underfill on there actually, because it will make it for a better repair. So I'm just going to check now and see if this is charging. So we've got Apple logo on the phone, and I can actually see on the ammeter that we're pulling 1.6 amps already. And you can see there now already that if I unplug that, It's 27% charged. There you go, 27% charged. So it's no longer saying it's on 1% anymore. So that is the repair complete. So thanks very much for joining me. Hope you have a good day. Please check out the website, bitrepairs.com. And I'm going to try and do some more YouTube videos in future. Now I've got everything set up here. So there's no reason, if you can put some suggestions in what you'd like me to do in future, I will attempt to do some repairs that you want me to do. Thanks very much, have a good day, and thanks.